Thank you very much for being with us. Today, we do have our Quillo team with us. Hi, I'm Sue Gordon. We've got Rebecca up in the Minneapolis area, and Keesa's here in the Indianapolis area also. Now, John, he's actually up in the Chicago area with our Trinity team, so he'll be doing most of the talking today, speaking with our guest speaker, who is Thane Dykstra, as well as some of the other members of his team. So we'll get a better introduction of them in a few moments. But thanks to everyone who's joined us today. Again, our Quillo Nation calls are calls in which we hope to hear from you throughout too. If you've got questions, anything that is taking place in your organizations that you have questions about, this again is a call where you can ask those questions, and feel free to do that by either speaking up, please unmute yourself, ask the question, or use the chat feature, which again is at the bottom of your screen. If you scroll down with your mouse or whatever and get to the bar, it'll show you a chat feature. Just pop that open. Rebecca monitors that throughout the call, and we'll make sure that we answer any questions or comments that you put on there. So again, welcome to everybody. So as we move forward with today, we're going to talk a little bit about culture, and we're excited to have with us today the team from our Trinity group, who have been using Quillo for about a year now. And they've just got some great lessons that they're going to share with us today in terms of how they're making it work for their organization. So this is a great opportunity for those of you who are on the call to find out a little bit more information from them in terms of what are they doing to make this all work. We'll close out then with just a few updates around some key resources that we've currently added that we hope will be helpful for you, and then talk a little bit about our next call. So with that, again, this is just a map showing where all of our users are across the nation. We're in 12 states. So there are a number of individuals who are with us, so we appreciate all of our customers and subscribers who are out there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John and lead us through the session with our Trinity folks in the Chicago area. So John, it's all yours.
Well, it's great to be here. And early on when I was envisioning Quillo, we were so lucky to talk with the folks of Trinity as one of the organizations around the country that's doing so many interesting things that with their staff and the value of their staff. And we saw it effect last night, and I'll let the team talk about it a little bit more, but it was so wonderful last night. They had their night at the Academy Awards for the Quillo. So all the folks that have done, and our total was, Meredith, we had 100 and how many videos were done for the contest?
About 120.
120 videos were done locally by team members. And we had an Academy Awards night last night with 11 different categories. And it was just exciting. Two things that were really exciting was seeing the videos on a big screen and seeing the reaction to them. Because while I've seen all of them, watching them on their phone was so different than seeing them with an audience and responding to them. It was just a wonderful evening that was very honored to be part of. Thane Dykstra is the CEO of Trinity Services, and just has been a great partner as we've been looking at this, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity to hear from Thane. He may introduce you to his pet ferret, Bandit, who was part of the festivities last night, but did not win.
Did not win, no.
So we just thought this would be a great one. We have a lot of new people on the call today that are just getting started. We even have a couple of people who are prospective subscribers that are wanting to learn more about how this works and the value of Quillo. And I asked Thane to just kind of lead a conversation as opposed to make a presentation. And so I'm going to turn it over to him about what some of his goals are. And we've got Tina and Tracy and Meredith here, and I'm sure he'll introduce them. But it's been a team effort. It hasn't been one person, and there's a whole lot more people on the team that aren't in the call with us today. But Thane, thanks so much for agreeing to do this. And we welcome questions. This is very conversational. So if you want to put something in the chat or ask a question, please feel free, if you would. Cool. Thane, take it away.
Thank you, thank you. Well, you know, as John indicated, we've been doing Quillo videos for about a year now. And I wasn't sure exactly, you know, what direction we would go in or how successful we would be in the course of a year. It was last March, I guess it was, when I was at our leadership retreat. So for many of our staff members, for the first time, I was explaining to them what Quillo was. And I sort of made the announcement that night that a year from then, roughly, we would have our first Quillo Academy Awards. And last night's event was just like I sort of drew it up in my mind's eye, but maybe even a little better, you know, from a year ago. And so, you know, last night's events were the culmination of that. You know, people indicated we had about 122 videos made this year. You know, a number of staff members. And the setting was this gorgeous theater that we just had remodeled last year, that we do a lot of fundraising and public education at this site. And just made it, you know, as close to the Academy Awards as we could get it, with red carpets and, you know, catered appetizers and searchlights, you know, scanning the sky. I mean, champagne. You know, it was incredibly elegant, including, you know, Trinity staff members went up and sort of, you know, did the presentations of the 11 categories. I believe off the top of my head, there were 10 internal categories, and then we did one category for best Quillo Nation video, so a video not produced by Trinity. Just because you may not know much about Trinity, we're a largest organization in Illinois. We support, I don't know, about 550 people residentially, and then many more than that for outpatient services. We have a behavioral health program in addition to the services that we provide to people with intellectual disabilities. And I don't know if I said, but we have about 1,000 employees in Illinois. We were in the state of Nevada for about 20 years until a year ago. We discontinued that. In terms of where we're at with our rollout, you know, obviously one of the most important groups that I would like to see us target in the future will be our independent living coaches, we call them, or who would be consistent with the more well-known sort of national term, DSP. We've been a little bit slow to roll out to our independent living coaches because until recently, our ILCs did not have emails, for instance, nor did they have access to computers in our group homes. I would not say that technology has been a signature strength of Trinity Services. You know, I can think back, it didn't seem like that long ago that we were using AOL email accounts even, but you know, it's a different story. But because we have been moving towards an electronic healthcare record now, all of our sites have computers and tablets and Wi-Fi, and we're just now rolling emails out to our DSPs, which will give them access to Quillo as well. But the nice thing is that this first year, we've been really able to use that time to develop a strong foundation of videos. And I do think that staff members really like to see themselves and their team members featured. And so one of our categories last night was best depiction of a team, which was sort of a satire on The Office, which was, you know, won actually by our development in the agency. And so, you know, it's just been really cool to see the you know, creative juices flowing in the agency. And, you know, we've got a very strong foundation at this point with, you know, now beyond 120 videos because, you know, some of our staff members are prolific. You know, I make jokes that Mike McCosey, I refer to him at a retreat as the Alexander Hamilton of Trinity Services, because he himself has produced about 26 high-quality, thought-provoking videos. He's the director of our behavioral health program. But, you know, I think that we've learned some important lessons, you know, along the way. And one of those lessons is include as many people as you can in the development of videos so that they get excited, right? That once you're in a video, now you want to show your friends that you know, that you're part of something. And so at our retreat this year, we took, I don't know, 2 hours maybe, and just did a session where we broke down into groups of 8 to 10 and gave them the assignment of creating 4 or 5 videos spontaneously at retreat. And for our retreat, we go to Starved Rock, which is this gorgeous rural setting about an hour from the Joliet area. And you know, we're just surrounded by nature. It's just like sort of almost like a national park sort of feel to it. And so it was just really cool. And you know, most of the groups produced 4 or 5 videos, and we've been able to use even a few of those. You know, in terms of making those accessible to Trinity users, and that I think goes just a long way there. I'm trying to think other secrets. One of the things that I'm not sure, because we're still sort of learning, right? And I think that one of the takeaway messages for me is that in my role as CEO, that people want to see me, and people would like to see me more than less. And it's hard because we have 100 residential sites and 50-day programs, probably, or outpatient sort of programs. And so that's hard, right, on a statewide basis. And so I think that one niche that I would really recommend to leaders in other agencies is to make sure that you're doing some videos just sort of updating people about what's going on, what cool stuff is going on in your agency, what important things are going on, maybe legislatively. I think that staff are keenly interested in that, and to not overthink the videos, right? Like the videos who won last night, those were well done videos. Those were high quality, high polished videos. But you don't want to fall into the trap of insisting that everything is that format, right? I think that the impact in the agency would be just as great for me to commit to doing a weekly video, just either featuring somebody who's doing exceptional work, or to let people know what's going on. And I just think that people are really hungry for that. And I think that there are some subscribers who, part of the reason that they signed up for Quillo was because they had the recognition that they too, as leaders, have a hard time getting to all their sites, but have important messages that they want to convey. And the cool thing too is you don't have to do it yourself. And that's sort of my notion about leadership, about my role at Trinity, is that I'm blessed to have so many colleagues that are so talented that it can't be a one-person show. And that would be a bad sign, like if you were, having to do all the work, or felt like you had to do all the work. That would, probably be demoralizing. And one of the unique things about Quillo is that it really is a creative outlet. So I don't know how other states are, but so often it seems like in Illinois, so much of our work is around compliance and dealing with sort of the bad news and problem solving, that it doesn't always pull for creative juices and creative thought and innovation. And when I heard the acceptance speeches last night, which were elegant, in and of themselves, when our staff members were going up, Quillo is really unique that way, right? If there's some quote or something that resonates with you, or some idea that you've had, it's just an opportunity to do whatever you can with it and run with it. And I think the other part that you can use Quillo for is that a lot of times here in our culture, which is very strong, we talk about anchoring moments. And so I think that Quillo allows you to do that too, right? I have no doubt that shortly we'll do our own Quillo video that sort of anchors what happened last night. And just use these opportunities to really create special moments for the staff members. Any Trinity staff member that was at that event last night was touched by it, and I hope they had a hard time sleeping, because I did, because I was so excited by what transpired. And one of the categories one of the first categories that we came up with was for children. So we created this Best Supporting Actor or Actress Award, as it turns out, where Steph Balke-Lee, who's in charge of our community day service programs, she did a couple of videos with her daughters, sort of picking bedtime stories. And so she lets her little girls, talk about, what was cool about those books. And so I just had the notion right away that, her daughters had to beat my ferret in the judging, and just seeing her daughters, all dialed up and giving a little acceptance speech, it was incredible, and I hope that Steph's daughters remember that event for the rest of their lives, and I hope that as I'm getting close to retiring, that Steph's daughters, they might be of age that they're starting to maybe work summers or something at Trinity. I hope that they have a passion with disabilities, and it'd just be really cool, to see their development, from young children to, to young adults. You know, that's just cool when when I've had that experience at Trinity. And one of the things that we did, by the way, for those videos that like Cecilia did, was that we made them available to staff members that had children. So if they watched the video and they liked it, then we made sure that we had copies so that staff members could request that, which was pretty neat. And Steph is working on a side project too that I should mention, is that she's working on a coloring book that features sort of the DSPs in action, because we want, because some of our DSPs these days are younger than they used to be and have young kids and stuff, right? That we wanted to create this, coloring book to really help the little ones understand what their parents do, at Trinity. So that's a project that we're working on right now. That's taking the lead on.
One of the things that, and you guys are all busy, and one of the things that people ask me all the time is, how do we find time? This sounds really cool. How do we find the time? And you've instituted some things with your leadership team about talking about Quillo, Thane, that has ingrained this into everybody. But time is a big challenge for you guys too, because all the things that you're responsible for could fill your day twice over probably. How do you carve out that time for Quillo, and how do you make that a priority when you have all of these other things coming at you all the time?
Well, I'll let these folks answer, because they have, most of the people in here have worked on videos. But from a time perspective, Meredith is sort of our editing expert. Now, some of our leadership teams do seem to do some of their own editing. But Meredith, who's with us today, is the primary editor. And my guess is that as she's been editing a lot of videos, that she's become more facile at it. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's true.
I would think so. But here's what I would say about it, though, is, again, don't necessarily insist that every video is perfect.
Right.
I didn't really feel like cutting a video Sunday night. I guess I did it. It was a bandit video to sort of increase the tension between Steph's daughters and my ferret. I didn't really feel like doing a video on a Sunday night. But I did it in 2 takes, basically, and then Meredith, cleaned it up a bit. Where I had one section that was slightly disfluent, and she cleaned that up. But these things don't have to be perfect, especially not if you're doing the kinds of informational videos, just sort of talking. I just don't think that you want to insist on perfection. And I think that the retreat exercises, where we told people to do these 4 or 5 videos with people that they didn't even necessarily know very well. Just really sort of got people in that mindset that you could use your cell phone and put something together that was pretty special. One of the ones that we've run from retreat was one that was basically an elevator scene where I think it was called Unsolicited Advice or something. So this person gets in the elevator at Starved Rock, and they push the button, and all the people in the elevator are like giving her quotes and stuff that don't really fit together in sort of a creepy, weird sort of way, right? Yeah. These motivational quotes. But, it was cool. And, it worked, and, it was, pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, where do you find the time, and how do you balance that with everything else that you've got going on?
I think, similar to what Thane said, when we talk to folks who say, don't think too hard, just do it. You could script it out, but just do it real quick. And the other thing that we sort of unintentionally did too, as far as motivating folks to just sort of find that time, is we set up challenges too. So we'll have a Quillo video that is the challenge, and then we ask people, all right, now you go out and try it yourself, which would also be on a video. And because all of us are pretty competitive, I'd say that's coming from our leader too, that I think that has also helped people sort of like really think about it and have it as a priority, I guess, because we do get busy, and it's easy to say that, but I think we've really embraced it. And we have a lot of trainers within ourselves that we don't realize, you don't mind being, in front of a camera, or you don't mind giving some really good, thoughtful ideas and inspiring other people. Yeah. And we have Meredith. She's a blessing in disguise, because once, we throw something at her, we're like, just make it pretty for us, please. And so she does it. So that helps.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. I think because I'm in a communications role here at Trinity, I have really embraced Quillo because I feel like it's a way to get other people to tell the stories and recognize the stories that they have within themselves, and to get excited about it. And I think it's just been a really great internal communications tool, because everybody has a message to share or a story, and it's been awesome to help people tell those.
Mm-hmm. One of the challenges you guys had, just as every new user, is getting people to log on for the first time and getting them started and breaking that hurdle of doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen magically. When you started off with 250 some people, it wasn't like, oh, everybody got on all at one day and it was great. You guys had to work at that to get people to do something new. What did you learn from that process? Because I know we talked a lot about in those early days that was interesting.
I think we've done a few different things along the way, because we did learn the hard way. First, we just did send out the email, and then, whoa, gosh, that didn't work. Then we're, naturally we're like, you know what, our supervisors need to talk. But then what started to morph is that people were sharing videos, and then that kind of drew in some interest in people going, oh, I want to. Well, you do have the membership. You just got to log in, So I think that came about as far as us sharing videos during a leadership meeting weekly, or talking about it, or asking people, hey, did you see that? This is a really cool video. So I think it was more about just putting it into our culture as far as talking, and then people engaging that way versus just getting the email and not really knowing, what it's about.
And we haven't been real aggressive. One of the things for years and years now is that all of our staff members, regardless of their position, are eligible for bonuses. And so, it certainly crosses your mind, well, you can make, bonuses contingent on participation in Quillo. But we haven't done that sort of hard-nosed stuff at this point. We've really tried to do more soft touch, just sort of let it happen, maybe in a planful way, though. Mike McCosian in behavioral health, again, has done a good job, because every leadership meeting, they start off with the standing agenda item about, what Quillo video made you think this week. And so they'll go around the team, which obviously, if you haven't watched the Quillo video in the week, I'm not sure what you're doing exactly, but yeah. So, I think that there's some things like that we've done. And, it's no accident last night that, we limited participation last night to people who, if they didn't produce videos, that they were active watchers, just because, again, it was such a special event that I guarantee you that people next be like, yes.
I wish I would have been there. Yeah,
because there were so many shoots. Just, because I'm friends with so many people on Facebook, and the number of Facebook posts that were going on last night till midnight, were just incredible, with, each picture better than the next.
Right.
Cool.
And that's a real interesting thing when you use the word on culture. That probably the biggest thing I've learned, so when we envisioned this 3 years ago, and now, looking at last night, it is this tool around culture that is not just about views, but it's those moments that build up, that build that culture. As you watch the interaction of folks, they were proud about what they did, but they were proud about what their colleagues shared. The fun things and the silly things, and the one that that this goal of communicating a thought was just so key. And that is what ties people closer together. And I know, Tracy, we had this great conversation about how you monitor retention, and that whole process of going on that, the idea of how culture is changing and getting better as you see people sharing those moments and what's important to them. I love this idea of the coloring book. That's beautiful. What do you do at home and change people's lives? I was talking about one of our folks that thinking about subscribing, and she had all of her managers around the room, and they were really down in the dumps. And she shared the story with me, and she said, we can't even compete with McDonald's anymore because they're paying more than we pay. Sorry. And she said, we got to stop talking like that. Because how often do you change somebody's life at McDonald's? How often do you get meaning out of your work at McDonald's? Nothing bad about handing people a hamburger, but we compete at a different level.
Correct.
And so what she's thinking about Quillo is how does she share that message with her folks that we're not screwed because they're doing it.
Right.
Now, and Tina, you're involved in programs and all of the things with Trinity on a very high level. And what have you seen the impact of Quillo has been as you've watched this move forward? Because you've been involved since the beginning too.
Yes, although they've done all the work, so I'm not going to take any credit. But my observation, I think, has been, I think Trinity has a good, strong culture, but I think what I've seen is that it's actually strengthened the culture that we have. And it really has brought about, I think, a sense of teamwork, a sense of camaraderie, and people really enjoy, I think, seeing, I think one of you guys said earlier, their coworkers succeed, right? To see people that you were like, wow, I didn't think they would be making a video, and they make this awesome video, right? And they're so proud of it, and then they get that feedback from their coworkers. But I think the idea of, how do you help, when you're spending your time together, we're all at work for a large percentage of our time, right? And so, we talk a lot up here about how do you want to spend your time together and how do you want to be together. And I think the Quillo helps people to even more enjoy their time together and to learn about each other and to grow. And I think it's that feeling of connection that sometimes, I think often we know retention in the workplace, if people don't feel connected and they don't feel a part of, they may be more likely to leave. But I think it adds to that connection and that camaraderie and really just seeing people do something that's really cool that you didn't, you weren't sure that they would be able to make that video, and they did. And I just feel like it's helped to build our team even more and help people to shine where maybe wouldn't have known they had that talent.
Yes.
And one of our, in our behavioral health programs, one of the things that we're probably known for somewhat nationally is that we tend to have expertise in particular therapy models. These days they're called contextual behavioral models, and acceptance and commitment therapy is probably the most well-known of those models. But an interesting part of that therapy model is that it sort of teaches people that you don't have to change your thoughts or feelings in order to take a particular action in a valued direction. And so it's sort of interesting from that perspective that Quillos are a great opportunity because, to go back to your question about like how do you find time isn't the issue really, because these are 60-second videos, right? What is the issue is for somebody to put themselves in front of a camera, right? And with that comes maybe this comfort then of hearing your voice, seeing yourself, because we never sound good enough, we never look good enough, right? And so really what comes with it is that skill set of being willing to put yourself in a place that growth occurs. And I'd mentioned our retreats. Our retreat is a huge opportunity for junior leaders in our agency to step forward and to teach, in front of, this could be 180 other colleagues, depending on, what session it is. And it's just the remarkable growth that comes with that as you see people embrace that challenge. And Quillo is the same thing. One of my colleagues in our office, in our administrative team, came up last night and was like, Thane, when I presented the award, well, she both won and presented one. She's like, I wasn't even nervous. I don't know what you've done to me, but it's like I never thought that I would see the day, in front of a group this size. And it's like, yeah, that's right on, because you've grown as a leader. That's all that is growth.
This is Rebecca here. We've actually got a question that came in from the chat from Juanita out in New Mexico. Juanita's question was asking about your initial numbers of folks and how the program how Quillo was accepted at Trinity, and if there was one specific thing that you did to promote the use. I know you've touched on that a little bit, but can you dig in a little bit more to how you helped those early adopters get on board?
Well, I do think that giving some feedback to supervisors. So Tracy does generate reports that we can monitor and give to our leadership team on a monthly basis. And at first our participation was near zero for a while. And that was sort of frustrating. But just being patient. Because there was moments, just to be honest, especially in the early days, it's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. I should just like eliminate people and, you know, figure out ways that they have to come back in. But I just think that you're better off using positive approaches and trying to create something that people want to be part of. And again, that's what's been part of, you know, last night was that that people will want to be a part of this. But I think that part of the secrets are including people in the videos. So, you know, at retreat, that was 170 people. You know, probably 120 of those people had not been part of the video at that point. So as we get those rolled out, there's no doubt that that will be huge. And then our biggest part of our workforce, our independent living coaches, you know, they're not online yet. And so we'll have to sort of figure out, because there probably will be some other things that we might have to do for some of those staff in terms of contests and things. We've tried to stay away from that. I produced the first video at Trinity, and then we sort of just continued it. And part of what I did for that one was like a scavenger hunt where I hid money somewhere and told people in the video, hey, you know, there's money hidden here. And then, you know, and that probably worked, you know, a little bit, except, you know, if you were in Muscuda or Peoria, that didn't do you a whole lot of good. Because I hid it in the cafeteria here. But, you know, after that, you know, I pretty much try to stay away from like encouraging tangibles and, you know, and that sort of thing. You know, it's just been more, you know, just sort of going on the content and, you know, supporting colleagues.
But also kudos to Quillo for listening to our feedback that we were giving as far as like, can you help us with lengthening the time of when somebody can get their password all set up, and then also can we look at the PC version so that people can have access and they're not logging in because it's stored in their computer, and people who have limitations as far as their cell phones and things like that. And so I think Quillo listening to us about that has also helped with our engagement.
One of the things that was interesting was the question about takes time, that as we talked about last call about changing habits. Changing habits is hard. If we could instill new habits in people, we'd all be healthier, we'd all live longer and work better, but we fall into old habits. So creating that moment to encourage it. And something Thane said that I've heard more and more from folks is, it's me walking up to Tina and saying, hey, did you see this one that Meredith did?
Yeah.
And, well, how do I get this? Why don't I get to get this? And it's going to be over that time that we look at the connections people make. And one of our subscribers was talking to me, and they did about 50 people, and they had 15 on right away. And he was very positive about that instead of negative, because he said, you know, now I've got 15 new people thinking positively. Now, if you told me I had 15 people being very negative about my organization out of 50 in our trial that were actively doing bad things, I'd have a really big problem. So if I've got 15 now starting a positive wave, that's a good beginning. And so he looked at it as something to build on, as opposed to being disappointed that we didn't get 100% right away. And I know it's frustrating. The other thing that we're learning is our technology skills of some of our staff are much more geared toward text than they are emails. And we're learning from folks that people just don't read emails. And it's not just us, it's in business and it's all over. So if we just depend on sending that email, we're going to be kind of frustrated, because one report I read said that the average worker, American business, will not open a company email for 6 days.
Holy cow.
And I thought, you know, I grew up in a different world.
Right? Yeah, wow.
Be out of business in that.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting to me.
Yeah.
So our people are spread out, and how do we work around that personal connection? The other thing that I saw last night that was so exciting is people came from a lot of different parts of Trinity, but they were together in that culture last night, whether it was the young man that talked about why he wore bow ties, and how his mother taught him to dress right, and why he he wanted to dress well so that the people he supported were respected.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a beautiful video, and people responded so well.
You know, an interesting thing about it too, right, is I wore a bow tie last night. I've never worn a bow tie in my life until last night.
Yeah.
I think it was because of his video.
Yep.
You know, and obviously I knew his video was up for an award last night. But yeah, I mean, so that was kind of a cool thing itself.
Great. Any other questions? We've had a great chance to talk with folks. Anybody else have any questions for the team here? Excellent. One of the things that, again, folks have been very great on, if anybody thinks of something later, we'd be glad to forward it to Tracy and Meredith or Thane or Tina to get thoughts on that. It's a great opportunity as we look at learning from one another. One of our folks shared with us the fact that we're creating something new that's never been done before. And so thank you guys for being the pioneers and sharing and helping us get better as we moved on. And it was an exciting event last night, complete with searchlights going up in the air at night, which was great fun.
And the awards, by the way, too, were gorgeous. We actually did the Quillo Cube.
We are going to
Perfection.
post those and get those out to folks. They were absolutely amazing. And they were easy to carry as people were carrying them home on the process. And if you haven't been to the Trinity website, it's a great website of things they're doing in the community, and just excited with everything that you're doing with Quillo and also what you're doing for people every day. So great.
Thank you.
Sue, we'll kick it back to you, and got a few other things here.
Great. Yeah, thanks again to the Trinity team, and congratulations on just having a very successful year. I will just reiterate that they did have a lot of patience, because I know many times I was talking with Tracy about getting people reset and doing different things with getting them logged in. So again, if you find that your teams need some additional assistance with getting logged in or anything like that, that's where you just really do need to reach out to me or any of our team members. If you want to do something with video production, it takes a little bit of patience and time to learn what strategies are going to work for you and your teams. But congratulations, Trinity, on all your success. And I hope that today, for those that have been on the call, that you've learned a little bit, maybe a nugget that you kind of take back and say, let's try something a little different. Because I think that sometimes we have to think about ourselves in terms of a new experience. So to me, this is what this quote speaks to, is that a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. And I think for a team like Trinity, they've really stretched to new experiences. Individuals have stretched to new experiences. And when you start to create that in your organizations, people want to be a part of it. So continue to ask questions, continue to leverage our team to help you continue to be successful. So with that, I'm going to actually turn it over to Rebecca, and she's going to share a couple of the new resource tools that we have available to, again, try to help assist and aid you as you continue to leverage and utilize Quillo in your organizations. So Rebecca?
Wonderful. Thank you, Sue. And another shout out to the Trinity team. Thank you for joining us today. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to check out the resources page on the MyQuillo.com website. Again, it's MyQuillo.com/resources. We are constantly updating and adding new items to that page. And hopefully they're coming in handy for you all. So in addition to, we just updated the Quillo library. So there's an Excel sheet where you can download and peruse all of the videos just by searching for keywords. Another way to sort of see, our close to 600 videos and counting by searching, if it's a little easier to peruse if you're looking for a certain topic. So that's up there. We also have the daily focus calendar set for the month of April. Of course, you can also access that on the portal, but there's a Word document with a calendar if you want to see at a glance what we've got coming up for the month. And then here we're highlighting a new series that's been put up. These are it's a group of 5 video templates that are on PowerPoint that kind of get you started with some videos. A lot of them are based off of the scripts resource that's already on that website. But here we've turned it into a PowerPoint with some colors and transitions and text boxes ready for you to fill it in with what makes it personalized for your organization. So much of what we just heard from Trinity was really emphasizing that the locally produced videos are really what start to hit it out of the park and help folks connect to each other, to the organization, to their mission, to their why. And so this starts to piece together what that message looks like for your organization. So I encourage you to check out these PowerPoints. This is one example, just a quick screenshot of what you'd be looking at. Slide 1 on all of the templates has just a quick instructions page. You'll notice everything in bright yellow. That's for you to fill in, replace. You can obviously change the questions, move stuff around, but hopefully this gets you a head start on creating that video. As we've talked about in previous Quillo Nation calls, you can export a PowerPoint as a video very easily when you go to File, I believe it's File Export as a Video, and there's instructions in there. Add a quick music track, and this kind of gets you 75% of the way. So as always, if there are questions with this, I encourage you to reach out to myself or to Kisa. I'll put our email addresses in the chat here in a moment. But again, just some templates to get you started. The fun thing is, if you have other requests, other scripts or ideas that you would like to see, or a template like this, drop me a note. We're always looking for new ideas, and more specifically, new tools that will help you be successful with Quillo. So if we can assist in getting those early steps going for you and creating a template, or if you're having trouble with these, if the formatting is funny, if you have maybe a different version or older version of PowerPoint and things just look a little wonky, drop me a note. I'm happy to help reformat some things and troubleshoot with you. So again, check these out, especially if you're the content manager or want to pass it along to the folks at your team. Another way to get ideas out there and some new videos for your group. So the other resource that we'll highlight is an updated welcome packet. We've now changed it to, it's the document formerly known as the welcome packet. The Guide to Success is the orientation, the overview. For those of you on the call who have been with Quillo for a while, you personally may not need this document. But if you're new to Quillo or have new team members joining on, we encourage you to use this Guide to Success because we've updated it with information on the desktop, all of our new websites. It's a little more streamlined, and a lot of it points you to this resources page to download and get familiar with the plethora of documents available there. So check it out, or if you just need a refresher on anything, it's not super long. We've tried to keep it, something you can digest and don't get overwhelmed by everything out there, but sets up, the different tips and time-tested approaches that different organizations have had success with in our first year of Quillo. So any questions from folks on the resources generally or the website, anything else? Okay. Well, I encourage you to, oh, sorry, was someone tuning in?
Yeah, I was just going to say this to Thane again, that one thing that we haven't done that I think would help guarantee success, like right out of the box, would be during your onboarding training to try to do a video with those teams and to then to label it so that those team members could find it. So they're saying, hey, I went through with this colleague, and they're pointing them out to folks that they've got a video. Now, I'm not sure that I would necessarily use that as like the daily Quillo or anything, but I'd keep it in the library. So I might not let it be a functional video, but nevertheless, people could look it up and show friends, right? So right out of the box, they're part of something. That would be one suggestion, and I think that we'll probably do that in the near future ourselves.
Great.
A couple of folks are trying something new with brand new employees that is interesting. When they do an orientation for folks, they're doing a quick video of, here's 5 new team members. We just want, if you see them, welcome to Trinity. That they're great. And if you see them coming through the building or here Fred's in Peoria or Sam's here, and that it's this nice little introduction, and there's something little thing about it. And so the idea that there's simple little things that, and again, Thane, your point about don't overthink it. The one you did on the weekend after the retreat, where over 60% of your staff watched that video the week after you did it and launched it.
Right.
And it was just you talking to them about one of the key things about don't fall into traps.
Right.
And I don't know how many takes you did of that, but it
that was three takes.
Yeah.
Part because the cat was meowing in that one, not the ferret was in it, but it was a cat meowing there. So
the cat was complaining that they weren't in the video. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. But when I was thinking about if you'd have wrote a memo out to everybody about the retreat, first of all, it was taking you a week to find time to write a memo.
Right.
And how many people would have read the memo with the same attention they gave to that? That was a really high viewership.
Right. And that's why I do think though at the top, right? Because I'm not sure that if that video was produced by a team leader, that would have had the same impact, right? But I think because of my role as CEO, that people are want to see what Thane's doing, what Thane's saying.
Well, and as I talked with one CEO this morning, it was interesting because he talked about he started as a DSP. And I said, how many of your staff know that?
Right.
Yeah. Well, all my executive team does. I said, but what about that DSP that you hired last week that knows you did everything that you're asking him to do?
Yeah, right. That's huge.
And that connection along the way. And he said, that's interesting. I never thought about it. So I think you're right as we look at, and you've all done those things. We were talking about it. So,
Great. Okay.
As we think about creativity, one thing I want to talk to you about, Mike, and helping. We've gotten a couple of requests. We haven't found the right person to do it. One of the challenges that some of our subscribers have as new video, and we really urge you to send us ideas. We may not have an answer, but we'll talk to people. And that is, how do we help people grieve? And folks have asked us, we've had people die, either staff members, how do we help the people they support grieve? Or one of the people in a home dies. And we don't have a good tool to help us grieve, much less help them. And so I wondered if Mike might help us think about that with one of his hopeful hints of how do you deal with that? Because we've had, it's just like they're gone. And how do we help people through that? So as you think about ideas, whether it's Juanita in New Mexico or anybody else, if you have an idea, we'll share that within our Quillo Nation. Maybe we'll find that interesting person that we don't even know.
We don't keep that. Do we keep that kind of list just to sort of guide our thoughts?
That's a really good, we have not shared that, but we sure could. Rebecca, let's think about that, how we add our active list of ideas that come in for suggestions that we share among you, that you may know some folks that we want to do that. It's a great idea.
Fascinating to share
that's great.
Right? Because if you put that out, sort of like the competition for why I love my job, right?
Yeah.
It'd just be interesting, the different ways and different messages that people come up with, about grief, for instance. Right?
Yes.
That'd be really, interesting. Last night in one of the categories, I guess it was our information category, we had two very different videos about toothbrushing.
Yes. Yeah.
Completely different.
And totally, nobody told them to go do ones on toothbrushing.
Right.
Yes. Very nice.
Cool. Excellent. Well, I think there is always a lot of power in terms of being creative when you've got a team together that can collaborate and try something, with their different ideas, approaching it and that type of thing. And I think that's where we're inviting anybody that's part of our Quillo Nation. Please let us know how we can help you, ideas that you have, other tools you need so that you can be successful in this journey with us. So with that, we are going to, again, thank Trinity for their involvement today. And we'll wrap up letting you know that our next call is about what's in your toolbox. We'd like to make sure that we give some focus on the different tools that we currently have in our toolbox. what are some things that you're using to be creative, and sharing that with others on the Quillo Nation call on April 18th. So we hope that you'll be with us. Until then, continue to Quillo and have a great week. And we look forward to seeing everybody on the call on the 18th. Thanks for everybody's participation today, and we will get information out with our recording that for those who weren't able to make it, you'll know what we talked about today. So thanks again, you guys at Trinity. Thank you very much for all that you're doing, and keep up the good work. So we'll see everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye now.
Bye.